You know, we all have that one special dog hanging out on the porch. He's just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. All these things you like coming together to make one superb dog. That was exactly what we had in mind when we made this show. Welcome to All Mixed Up. What's up, Chad?
Oh, man, just trying to get all these chores done. It's right around the corner, man. Season's right there.
My eyelids are just like, they feel like there's 100 pounds of weights sitting on top of them right now. My life has been just pedal to the metal all month, and it's been good, but it's been a lot. So
when do you start? When do you get serious about running dogs, man?
Okay, first of all, why do you got to make me cry right when the episode starts? You want now tears coming out of my heavy eyelids, dude?
Yeah, sure.
The thing is, man, this summer, as we all know, we had a super strong El Nino this year, which is the climactic event that causes the Pacific Ocean to warm and brings record heat to the continental U.S. And so, as we all know, the summer has just been, dude, horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's freaking 96 here at my house right now. It's late August. It should be a lot cooler than that already by now. So when do I start in earnest? Well, now that I have a set of pure Salukis, they can easily run up to about 73, 72-ish in that range. So normally I could be starting now if it wasn't record heat. I could be in the mornings already by now. But usually I start early September. I'll start going out to some of my closer prairies that are nearby my house. They kind of suck, but they're small, but they're good enough to like leg up dogs. But since this summer has been so brutal and the rain has been so poor, the hares, it's actually, so everyone, there's that storm that's coming up from Texas right now, and we're right in the path of that moisture. I actually checked it for you too, man. I don't think you're going to get any of that.
I never get it, man. I could have told you that before. I looked at it and I stopped. I was searching the Weather Channel. Where's it going? I was like, what am I doing? I'm wasting time. Yep. We aren't going to get any of
this. I laughed. I was like, you're not getting any of that. Anyway, so that's going to be our first, dude, I've gotten 1.91 inches at my house all year. That's all I've gotten at my house, right? So I think we're going to get over an inch from this storm. And I looked, a lot of my favorite pastures are going to get like an inch of rain. So basically, long story short, the hares are really going to start breeding in overdrive now, which means that like
when do they quit? Like, you know, they'll still have some babies before the winter comes.
Oh yeah. So if it's warm and it's wet, if there's food available and it's warm, they will mate. So, I mean, we've caught pregnant does in January before. So,
oh wow, okay.
Yeah. So this year
get in where they fit in then, huh?
Yeah,
good job.
Yeah. And so they will be breeding very late this year because it's been warm and it's been brutal. We had a great drop of young leverets which is a baby hare, leverets in March, but this drought and heat has beat them up. And so they're going to start breeding after this rain event, long story short, and they're going to be lots of little baby ones. So I'm going to curtail my hunting, man. I honestly hate catching young ones. It really pisses me off. Like, it's not their fault. It sucks. I hate it. The race is disgusting. It's so pitiful. You know what I mean? Like, and that could have been an adult one in another 2 months. So anyway, I'm probably going to start hunting in October. Long story short, I'm going to probably hunt some of my northern prairies that are the hares will be breeding later or earlier. They'll stop breeding earlier because it's colder. And drive a long way to get to those because I'm an addict. So that was a very long answer, but when are you starting in earnest?
September is generally when I get going, you know, like for this or that, you know, a little bit of everything. I still kind of take it easy on my jackrabbits because, I can't help but take it easy on them. So the brush hasn't begun to die off yet. So they'll catch a glimpse and it's gone and they just get enough time to get excited and nothing else. But in that time, I kind of bird dog around, you know, and find out where the thicker populations are and then predict where they're going to go when the brush starts to die off. Get that season set up. But that's the beginning of hunting, you know, grouse and chucker. And so then start firing up the bird dogs. And then I won't really be messing with the bear until deeper into fall. It's lion season, you know, you can chase lions now, but I think I'm better served getting my choring done so that I can really just cut loose. So yeah, September, it's kind of when things get going, for this and that.
I just got done bear hunting, actually, up here in New Mexico. We just had an opening day bear in August 16th in some of our bear units. So I only got to go up for one day, but I met some badass people at the Horse, Hound, and Mule auction in July. And huge shout out to David Riley, the Riley brothers. You guys rock. I went out there and hunted with them. We only had one day. So we had a rough morning, just mechanical problems on our vehicle. And then also there was just a lot of driving. We got some strikes, but they were old. And anyway, I had a great time. Those guys were super rad. And I met a lot of really badass people at Horse, Hound, and Mules. We're going to get there later in the episode, but yeah. So shout out to the Riley brothers. You guys rock. Sean and David, you guys are cool. And Straight, you rock, bro. But anyway, yeah. So I got a lot of cool interviews from a lot of those fellas, and yeah, it was a good time. So anyway, bear hunting I'm not really a big fan of summer bear hunting. It's
hard, man. I was talking to one of my real good friends, who's like an avid chucker hunter, and he climbs the 45-degree chucker hills and, some of the Red Rock stuff, and hunts here and there and travels all over the place. And, he's more of an upland hunter. I'm more of a fur hunter, so, and he goes with me sometimes and I go with him. And I was telling him the other day, I was like, I swear there's nothing worse than like for me, the later season spring bear, it's where I end up chasing my hounds more in the hotter days, and to me, that's just it's the hardest country to run around in for me. And like the chucker hills are worse, but I'm not having to chase anything down, and and get into the tree before they jump out and this and that and into the truck, out of the truck. And you do this big long hike and then, all right, run back to the truck to hop in. And it's so stinking hot. The seat belts will brand the back of your arms and, and the dogs get so hot. There's been times we're walking out after a successful tree and we're going like 500 yards at a time and hiding in the shade, just dying, And I actually got into an issue last time with Haggis, where he got so hot. He's a cold weather natured dog, like he's the one that, I had no problem throwing him into water with.
He looks like a bear himself.
He kind of, yeah. And
smells like one too.
Pretty much. He's had puppies bay him before, he's pretty good natured about it, but, think nothing of tossing him in the water, pushing ice, little boulders of ice out of the way with his chest. But like the heat does a number on him. And he ended up being a heat injury that one day to where he couldn't even stand up. He was just falling over, started getting seizures and everything, and gave him Gatorade, gave him my Gatorade, punk, he got my Gatorade and tied him up underneath a tree, and got the rest of the hounds out. So I didn't have, them going left and right, and came back to him, and his back end was all floppy and he couldn't really stand on it, but he could stand on his front legs. It was like his hind end ran out, so what I did is I took my belt off and wrapped it around his waist and just kind of held his back end up. And as long as I supported his back end, he could manage his front end. And it was almost like choking the throttle of an engine, like it was like, if I just left him there, I don't think he ever would have come out of it, like without sleeping it off, but he could not quite walk on his own either, but together supporting him with that and getting the moisture in his mouth, he came back at it and eventually could walk, but was all clumsy. And then, and then I took it off and he made it out. But like you watched everything going, like he even got to the point where, like I said, his back legs were seizing and he couldn't stand on it. It was all glassy eyed. And they do that thing where the big tell for me when a dog's hot is their back end will start to drop and they'll lift their head up a little bit, and it's, in my opinion, that's them trying to open their lungs as much as they can,
Yep.
And they'll, like, a lot of times they'll close their eyes and they start panting fast and not so deep anymore. Yeah. And up, and they just lower their ass, their lower their butt in there and then raise their head up. And once I start seeing that, I start start to get not worried, just like we have a situation here that I need it handled right now.
I didn't even know how hard a dog could breathe until after these hard rabbit races. And then those freaking hounds are just like mouth gaping open, looking up to the sky, eyes closed, and just like these huge deep breaths. You can shine a flashlight down their throat and I swear you can see their bronchial chambers. You know what I mean? Like that thing is just dilated huge and they're just like, ah. And I got it. My Facebook banner is Strider like that after they caught a 3.5 minute rabbit and they're just like, I'm like, oh my God, I need air. And his mouth is just full of jackrabbit hair. So like, anyway, that's something I wanted to say. A quick thing, you guys, is speaking of, heat related injuries and stuff, but if you're not checking out Dogs Are Hydrated, this is exactly the use for it. And I got a dog with some kidney problems, and that if we listen to our episode with Bryce Matthews, he was talking to the veterinarian about a lot of this stuff. And my guy got into a bunch of painkiller and like destroyed himself. He nearly died. So he did suffer some permanent kidney damage. So it's going to affect his ability to run. And so I'm going to be really focusing on keeping him cool to keep stress off that body. So the thing is sometimes I get messages from people being like, hey, Dogs Are Hydrated. Can you just make that on your own? And dude, I'm like, I mean, yeah, I guess, but who wants to have like a 2-gallon bottle of glycerin laying around? Like, there's got to be something said for convenience of just, they have it all mixed up right. They tell you how to use it. Just crack open the damn bottle and use it. You know what I mean? Like that's how I am.
In that logic, like you can make your own collars. You can make your own dog leashes. You can make your own dog box. Like, and I'm not saying I never haven't done that stuff, but it ain't bad to get a $10 collar, slap a nameplate on it, and just know it's done right.
Yes,
exactly.
I think
is that kind of the same with this?
Well, yeah. I mean, you gotta measure.
You don't got to worry about it.
Yeah, it's all done, and they have all the steps ready for you, right? And make sure you get the part 2. That's important part of it as well. Everyone gets. There's 2 parts. There's the part 1, the pre-hydration, which is like the mixture that helps them get hydrated, and then there's the part 2 that helps them rehydrate. And both of those are important, right? And a lot of people just get the part 1 and not the part 2. And so anyway, I just want to say like that's going to be something that is definitely more religiously used in my pack, because when it gets really cold, you don't think about that kind of stuff. But I need to give Strider every edge possible, and I'm not going to dink around with all that bullshit. I'm just going to get theirs pre-made. So check it out. And patrons, you guys get a deeper discount. So check out those codes on our Patreon page. But that was a shameless plug for Dogs Are Treated, because that stuff is a good way to help your hounds deal with heat stress better. But anyway, so I think about this often because, man, losing Strider, I'm not sure I don't know how he's going to run. I had his blood work tested, and it seems normal. A dog can function with any animal can function with very damaged kidneys and not have any blood chemistry issues until they've lost like 70% of their kidney function. So all his vitals look normal, but he's not.
But you aren't going to see it until it's really bad anyway, is what you're saying. Okay.
And here's something to think about, you guys, and this is just the truth. This is something as houndsmen we always think about, but I'm going to run him. You know what I mean? I'm going to run him. He could just be a bum on the couch and I could pussyfoot around with him for the rest of his life, or I'm just going to run him and keep an eye on his blood levels. I'll get his blood checked probably in like November after I've hunted him, and just watch him. You know what I mean? If he looks like he's getting beat down, put him in the box and don't bring him out. But I'm going to run him for sure.
He wants to.
Yeah, exactly, dude. He's a hunt dog.
Guys, this is a no-nonsense podcast. You guys know that. And I'm going to talk to you about OnX, because I'm sitting in camp in New Mexico right now. I've never stepped foot on this ranch. And I've used OnX so many times in the last 3 days. With their high-definition maps, I can see mesas, I can see grasslands, I can see the canyons. I know where the critters ought to be living, and OnX helps me find those spots and get to those spots, and it totally augments my tracking equipment. I could buy a map card for New Mexico, but this year alone, I've hunted Louisiana, Indiana, Kentucky, New Mexico. I didn't hunt in Colorado, but I was there. Montana, I've been in Montana. So you do the math on the map card, and when you buy OnX at their elite price for around $100 a year, I get all of these maps that are right on my phone, extremely clear. Landowners are marked, state lands are marked. It's all right there. Check out OnX at onxmaps.com and get with it, man. And at checkout, Enter the promo code HXP20 and you will get 20% off of your onX subscription. Know where you stand with onX.
So yeah, what you want to do, like you want him to run. If you ask him what he wants to do, he wants to run. So I don't know. If you want to be selfish, like I've been into that situation before with a terrier that was getting old, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're still hunting her?" I was like, "Well, if I was being selfish, I could get tied to the couch and not take her out, but that's not what she wants. If I'm really concerned with what's best for her, I'm gonna run her until she, burns out like a bottle rocket.
I mean, I'm not gonna be destructive to him. I'll definitely watch him, but I'm not gonna baby him. You know what I mean? I'm gonna run him. So anyway, that's just kind of where I'm at right now, and so I'm really excited. I'm anxious, I guess, not excited, anxious to see how he is gonna do, and because he's my best picker upper. He's not my best runner, but he's definitely my best grabber. When it's time to actually catch that little long-eared punk, he's the one that can suck him up good. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it getting going. So, and I was going to say this too on bear hunting, dude, trying to find a track in like iron hard desert ground sucks.
It's one of the worst things in
I
the
was
world.
talking to Justin and he was like, man, it must have been really tough, like hunting in New Mexico after you've been to Canada. And I was like, yeah, but I liked how it was only 2 hours from my house.
Right.
Instead of 62, you know what I mean? So it was a great time. It was great company. But anyway, I was laughing about that too. Cause they were like, how was Canada? And I was like, dude, I saw 65 bears in 5 days. It was insane. You rig every 10 minutes down the road and you get to the point where you see a bear and you're like, no, let's go look for a different one. You keep driving until one's on the side of the road again. Like,
I don't run bucktooth bears. That bear had a funny looking face. I don't want to.
That was only a 6.5 foot bear. Let's keep
driving. There you go.
You know what I mean? Like, but anyway, hey, I want to ask you something, man. I have been seeing pictures, videos of little Dandy. How's that going?
He's doing good, man. He
tell everyone who Dandy is, first of all.
Oh yeah, Dandy's my little setter. I got a few here. He'll be my second setter, but two of a handful of bird dogs, and one of my guys that works for me, Yubi has a pile of them, really nice setters too. So my other friend Tyler's got a bunch of them. So I'm like up to my Adam's apple and setters, even if I don't own that many personally, who knows how many, but this one's a little bit different. I'm not saying better, just different, different tool. Screwdriver's not better than a hammer. They're just different, and this little guy just doesn't range out that far. He stays a little closer, but is a tracking. And that's what I thought maybe some of the guys here on the podcast might get excited about is, all bird dogs can track, but this has like been purpose bred for it, where they do that slow, creepy deal. And got him, creeping and pointing and doing all that real nice. So now we went ahead and took a step back with the birds, and now we're just working on woe breaking. And he's taken right to that.
What is woe breaking briefly?
Oh yeah. Okay. Briefly is like, and under an ideal hunt, or even, your average hunts, you'll never say it. The dog learns, they point instinctively, like all bird dogs point instinctively, that's their breeding. If they're bred well, they point instinctively, but even the best, if left alone, they'll point and then they'll break. You know what I'm saying? You have to kind of teach them, okay, yeah, you did right. Pointing's what I want now. Now point. Even if you know where the bird is, even if you can see the bird, still point it. I'm taking it from here. So in order to do that, there's a million different ways to skin this cat. But you woe break them. And basically what that is you teach them to stop moving your feet, basically. So like there's various forms. Some people don't even want them to move their tail or twitch their tail. Others say don't move a muscle, nothing. Don't move your nose, anything like that. I don't really care. If I say whoa and they're in odor, they're going to lock up. And it's just like they can point and have a bunch of birds flush in their face if the wind was going the wrong way. And then just as a reaffirming, like, no, don't chase him. Whoa, hold still. Like there's more in here. And then the next one gets up and I can take a shot out of it or something.
Yeah.
Or point, and when they're young in the game, you can kind of see that they pointed, and then the bird twitches, and you like see the eyeball move, and you're like, whoa, don't do it. Stay there. That's your job in this equation is you find it, you point it, and you don't move your feet. So right now I'm just teaching them at random times. I'll say, whoa. And that means lock up. I let them move their head when there's no odor present, but don't move your feet. If you pick your foot up, you did wrong. And you don't punish them into that, but I don't know. There's a million different ways, and based on what breed I use, I'll do it differently. But right now, that's what we're doing.
Gotcha.
And he's a real soft-natured. Yeah, don't move. Don't move nothing. And he's a real soft-natured dog. So, just kind of like the Salukis, if a little dab will do you with correction, And and most of these dogs learn through like trial and error. They literally just have to do it wrong 5-6 times, and then they'll do it right. They're perceptive enough, and they're soft enough, and they really have a willingness to please. And this is a lot of different breeds, but they still just have to do it wrong so many times to finally learn, okay, this is bad.
Yep.
So right now it's just a bunch of trial and error. Whoa, and he moves a foot and turn him in a circle, bring him back. And whoa, he moves a foot, turn around in a circle, bring him back. Whoa, he doesn't move a foot. I wiggle around a little bit. He stays moving. Then I give him some food, and Kyle Warren, the guy that breeds this particular line, is like Paint River setters, has like all these little videos and little knickknacks. And I am like conventional schooling, man, it's like painful for me to sit through it. Like I've never been a really good student, but I am a student of dog training. I will gobble up everybody's, even if I don't like it, even if I'm sitting through somebody's stuff and I'm just like, I do not like this. Oftentimes there's a cherry to be plucked from that, though. There's something in there. And that is not the case with Kyle. He's doing a great job. I really enjoy his videos, but like in the beginning, he was kind of like, well, you can look at it if you want. I know you had to train a dog. I'm like, man, I am way past like feeling like I got it all figured out.
Seriously.
Like, I just love information. So anyway, I'm trying something new. This is a new way to Willbrook, and it's just very rewarding. He's doing it. I haven't made his tail drop not one time. And he's already locking up, and I'm throwing my hat and kicking rocks and 60s around him and like flipping to like it's really windy here. So when I whip the leash at him, it's like slapping him in the face and making his eyes blink. And he's like, I can't even see anymore, but I'm going to hold my feet still, So
yeah, nice. So he's going to be a good one. Then dude, I want to hunt over him for sure.
No doubt. Yeah, this year we'll make it happen. No doubt. 100%.
I shoot a muzzle loading shotgun, so I'm going to look kind of funny next to you guys all sitting there reloading.
That's not gonna be funny. That's going to be freaking awesome. It's kind of one of those things. Do I want to? No. Buddy with a boat. Do I want a black powder shotgun? No, I don't. But I want a buddy that's got one because I want to see how it's done and get to play with it a little bit and then give it back. That's perfect. That's awesome. And I might actually bite into that one.
It's a 1.5 ounces of number 7 with no choke. So it's putting up a freaking wall of lead, and I don't have a very long range with it because it has no choke. But damn, that thing, it'll knock you down. It kicks hard, because it's 1.5 ounces of lead. It puts up a big wall. If you have a patterning board, I'll show you that pattern. It's pretty crazy, dude. So,
it makes me think of like the old punt guns for some reason.
It's a double barrel punt gun.
It's like a 7-foot shotgun, like
it's a double barrel punt gun.
Like swings out from underneath it,
So I was going to get a 10 gauge, but I ended up getting a 12 gauge just because the 10 was more popular for waterfowl back in those days, and I don't hunt waterfowl, so I was like, a 12 is plenty. Yeah. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I want to move into some quick news, you guys. So speaking of bear hunting, when I was going up to bear hunting, John Rutter, president of the New Mexico Houndsman Association, sent me a notification that you guys all saw on the Facebook group. And it was talking about New Mexico Department of Game and Fish with a proposal for a rule change with bear and lion hunting. Here's the thing. That rule change wasn't as detrimental as other laws in some states that want to outright ban these kinds of hunting. But what is distressing is that 190 of the 200 comments came from anti-hunting people.
Gosh.
Yes. And so we posted that up there. Kudos to our IT guy, Shane. He was on it within minutes. I sent that thing to him and he got it on the page. So thank you, Shane. And then also,
Shane's awesome.
we got a lot of engagement for that. So as a New Mexico resident, I thank everyone who emailed. And I do want to say, you guys, like, we see these things, and I live in New Mexico and I see something coming up in Wisconsin, and I'm like, oh, it's in Wisconsin, that'll never affect me. Here's the thing. Listen, guys, I was out hunting in bears, and all the trucks I saw were out-of-state hunters in New Mexico. It affects everybody. If you love hunting anywhere with hounds, you need to just write that quick email. It takes 5 minutes out of your day, and the representation for hound hunters went up a lot. And what sucks is that a lot of those comments were just to outright ban hound hunting, right? And yeah. So anyway, I just want to thank everyone who emailed, and I just wanted to let everyone know very briefly, but just take the time, support each other. When one of these posts comes up in Houndsman XP, and I love when our listeners post those things into the group, because Houndsman XP, we put our money where our mouth is. Preserve, protect, promote. That's a huge part of this podcast's mission, is to represent hound hunting and perpetuate hound hunting legally all over the United States. So anyway, that struck me hard. I can't even you can't even imagine New Mexico without hound hunting. It's a freaking religion here, and it sucks that, this urban influence is growing in a state as rural as New Mexico. We have one of the lowest populations in the union, It sucks. But anyway, so thank you for everyone who stood up with us, and let's keep up the good fight.
Yeah. Here, man. They don't sleep, those guys, man. The antis, they just never stop, and it can wear on you, man. It could wear on me to where, like, gives me a horrible day, but like, you get in where you can, and like, lend a voice when you feel you can, you don't have to be there for all of them, but like, help
the lesson
out,
to be learned,
man,
there is 9 out of 10 of the freaking voices were anti-hunters. That's the lesson to take out. That's what hit me the hardest. And what made me happy is that, yes, when we got word from our president, we mobilized, which made me happy. But anyway, they're so much more organized, and that's something we were trying to fix. And so support your local clubs like John. So shout out to John Rudder. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. But anyway, that was it. Oh, hey, speaking of, did you listen to the podcast with Chris for it's not about the caliber, it's about the bullet design?
I haven't got it yet. Okay. It's in my queue. I haven't got there yet.
I listened to it, and the whole time I was thinking, dude, son, I just shoot him with a marble.
Right.
I just hunt with a freaking muzzleloader. I know Chris is a flintlock hunter too, but everything you see on this wall here has been killed by that flintlock, and some more that you can't see that are off screen. But yeah, it just made me laugh, because it's like, bullet design obviously matters a lot. Duh. I'm not saying a ball is a perfect projectile. It's garbage, but it does make me laugh that, like, there's so many, this animal right here, Oryx, everyone's like, oh, you need like a 300 H&H Magnum. And I'm like, dude, I've killed 2 of those things with a marble, with a gun that was ignited by a rock, like, so it just made me laugh. I love that. There's the technical stuff. People love techno mumbo jumbo, and I'm I take this black powder and I put it down this barrel,
beat it with a stick.
Yeah, beat it down
and tight.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so it was just let's move into keeper call. That's our classic, man. And I got some again, digging through a lot of the Houndsman XP archives with some slight modifications. And I'm not going to use any names because some of these are kind of old, but I'm going to shoot through a couple. But I think you have one to start us with.
Yeah, I do. I got a buddy who's got some dogs, and he's running into this issue where the dogs have never, they're actually sight hounds too, believe it or not. They never had an issue in the house, supposedly, never had an issue in the crate, and they'll load up just fine, happy, smiles on the face, tails wagging and everything. But just as soon as you start moving, they get car sick and they start slobbering and get the long shoelaces, and will poop. Now everybody knows, or like everybody that runs sight hounds knows, that generally you let them out of the truck, they run around, they empty, and by the time you go like another 300 yards of walking,
they're chilling.
Yeah. They might even empty again, so they get excited and get rid of it, but they're good to go, so once they get pumped up, I don't know if it's the bowels are connected to their adrenaline or what, but like that can happen a little bit. But I've never seen this. I've never had that big of a problem with it, so I'm kind of lost. And as like an animal trainer, that's my job. And I could facilitate routines and habits, but it's really hard to teach an animal that knows don't poop in the house, don't poop in the crate, don't poop anywhere except for when you're outside. Hold it for however many hours throughout the night and through late mornings and all that and do all that. But when they get car sick, how do you tell an animal not
It's like a physiologic response. Yeah.
It already knows it. It knows it's wrong and it can't help it. It doesn't want to do it. It wants the heck out of there as soon as it does it. So like, what do? And you can't teach them to don't be car sick,
I think I would. Yeah. I mean, before I say keep or cull, I think the only remedy, do you mind if I go into a remedy?
No, go for it. Yeah. But basically that's where it is. Like these dogs keep messing up every time he drives. Even if he drives 10 minutes down the road, they've pooped in there, to the point where he's going with trash bags and cleaner and everything like that. And the hope is that eventually it'll go away, but he doesn't. At this point, he's already starting to ask the question, what do I do with these? Do I find them a home that people are going to hunt them on foot right across the street? Or do I
nowhere?
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. I guess the first thing I would do, well, Chris would say cull because they're sight hounds immediately.
Yeah.
No, I would say before I go to keep or cull, I'm going to say possible remedies. I would try giving that dog non-drowsy Dramamine. See if that makes is it a physiologic response or is it psychological response?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is the dog panicking and freaking out? And again, this is your buddy's dog. I mean, we don't know these.
Yeah.
We should probably have him on the show, but it's like psychological problem. Is he freaking out to get in the box, or is he getting in, loading up, and then just when he's in there, he's sick? I don't know, but I would start with that non-drowsy Dramamine, and then just go for short drives and see if it improves, and maybe you can break that mental cycle. I guess would be the only thing. But for as far as keep or cull, I'm gonna say keep. To me, yeah, I don't really care.
They aren't a year old yet. Either.
They're
That's
young
the other
still.
Yeah, they're not even a year old. So,
Comet and Strider both had car sickness for about a week or two. Their first 3 rides to the prairie were pretty ugly. They either pooped in the box or puked, but they stopped pretty quick. And Pronto and Calypso never had that problem. But I would just, I guess he's already tried short rides, but I would start with the Dramamine, see if that fixes it. That could probably fix the psychologic and physiologic response, and then just short rides and go from there. But to me, I know it's gross. I freaking hate it. But it's just not a deal breaker for me.
Is that right?
I just park a truck. See, because I don't have a dog box. That's the thing. So I just have a camper shell. And all my dogs just ride communally in a camper shell. So if it's been happened where they give too much water, and then I go for a 3-hour drive and I don't let them out and they pee back there sometimes, they just squat because they have to relieve themselves so bad, and they're not marking or anything. And I just park my truck up on an incline and just hose it out. You know what I mean? So it's gross. Yes. I've never had one poop in the box, but
right.
I say keep. I say keep.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like the Dramamine idea. I didn't really consider that. My knee jerk was like, can you get in the dog box with them? Can you have somebody, your wife drive you down the road?
Just ride with them. Yeah.
Maybe just to see what's going on.
Yeah. You want to see.
Because he was adamant that when they loaded up, they were confident. They were confident loading up, sticking their heads out, in the tail, everything like that.
So they're not afraid.
Doesn't mean things change when they drive. You'd think that they'd start to associate that if it was fear-based, but maybe it's excitement. Maybe the wind scares them. I can guess all day, maybe they're getting in the cab, and then once you start driving, they're so super excited that it happens. Maybe it's fear-based. Maybe it's the wind. He did say that the one time he tried closing them up, it got worse. Because, with seasickness. And
they got to see.
If you can see the horizon, they do better, which makes me think car, but it's way too hard to tell. So that's why I was like, can you get back there? Have your wife drive you 5 minutes down the road and turn around and come back. And at least you could see, if the slobbering starts, and then, or if it only happens once you get up to speed, or everything was fine until you made the first turn. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe, but I like the Dramamine too, so maybe Dramamine and an observation. Maybe he'll be cursing me when he can't tell his wife to stop because both dogs are pooping all over the place.
Pooped all over, yeah.
Yeah. Which sounds amazing. We should have him record this.
David Heiss, he told me when he first started coyote hunting, they were in a car and they didn't have a dump box on it. So he rode in the back as a kid and he was holding the coyote dogs and they would just open the door of this car and let their coyote dogs out of the car after the coyote. And so he's holding on to these dogs and there's two other dogs in front of him. He said as soon as they saw the coyote, they got all excited and they were just crapping like all over him, like all over his lap, all over his knees, all over his chest.
Yeah.
And I asked him and he was like, it was gross, but I didn't care. I was having the time of my life. And I was like, a true houndsman right there.
Oh yeah. In my mind, when you're painting that picture, I immediately thought like some 5-6-year-old kid holding onto a collar. You know how they have like those little D-rings in there? Yep. You know, like what do they got, like a finger caught and this 90-pound stag hound's taking this 40-pound kid for a coyote run, you know?
He said he's had German Shepherds when he was younger, like an early teens. And he said he was walking his German Shepherds and a coyote hunter was walking by with his coyote dogs. And David said, he was like, watch out, my German Shepherds will attack your coyote dogs. And that coyote hunter said, watch out, my coyote dogs will kill those German Shepherds. I was like, damn.
Yep.
Yeah, that made me laugh. But anyway, that guy's a legend. So I say keep. What do you say?
Right now I'm saying keep until you try more things, but I get not having a problem with it. I do. But man, you guys know from my other previous stories, I can't deal with that, man. It's not even I get grossed out. I mean, to be honest, if I'm in a position where I could like rinse my hands off or something, and there's like a good formed turd back there, I don't think nothing of grabbing it and just tossing it out with my fingers. I don't care. So what?
Yeah.
Rinse my hands off, I'm good to go. You know, but is it for me as a dog trainer? No, it's like dog fighting to me. You know, once one's doing it, then the others start doing it. And then you got a whole pack of dog fighters, you know, and messing in the truck, it snowballs, in my opinion. And one does it, and then the others lose their, for lack of a better word, disgust for it, you know? And
discipline, maybe. Yeah.
Then it's an option. I travel too much. It's no big deal for me to like for a hunting trip or something like that, load the dogs up for overnight. I'll drive all day, let them out, find a place to exercise them, load them back up in the night, and then drive a whole nother day the next day. And if it's an option to mess back there, I'm gonna have a bad day. Okay, you know, like I don't want no part of that. So for me, it's a deal breaker. I told him give them till they're 1. I'm definitely gonna tell him about the Dramamine, non-drowsy Dramamine. You know, that'd be hilarious watching a bunch of drunk Salukis chase after a rabbit. But we'll go with the non-drowsy. I like that. That's a great idea. And then I do want them to get back there and watch, you know. So between all those things, give it the year, keep hunting. Maybe the joy of because they supposedly they haven't even seen anything yet, you know. So maybe there isn't the anticipation of the chase to come.
True. I was going to say that's the thing that I wonder if that's what caused mine to quit they stopped being afraid, nervous for car sickness. And they started being really excited, happy. And that maybe that mental shift helped break it because they started seeing rabbits, you know, Pronto and Calypso kept a freaking conveyor belt of rabbits coming to their faces, you know? So,
and it's just that's
a good point.
That gravity shift in their mind, you know, like everything is like, I learned how to load up. Now that the truck's moving, gosh, it's a little scary, you know. And then once they're chasing rabbits, if they're well bred, everything should come behind that, you know. And that doesn't mean that you still don't have some other issue kicking, but like
it may help a lot mentally.
Your biggest, you know, your strongest pulling mule in that team hasn't even turned on yet, you know, which is the joy of chasing these things. So I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, there you go. That's my keeper call. You know, like, oh God, just thinking about it, man. 2 dogs worth of poop in the back of a truck, that's a lot, man, you know, plus vomit.
I say once they start seeing rabbits, everything should change. I've seen sight hounds that are like wild, so spooky that they're like wild, and as soon as they start getting hunted good, they're like meeting you at the gate. I mean, they're like an entirely different dog as soon as they start chasing hares.
Put the collar up.
Exactly. So we'll see. All right, I got to keep a call from you. This is straight from the Houndsman XP archives. This is from way back in 2020, okay?
Oh, wow, okay.
All right, so this guy says he has a pack of dogs that are just okay. Like he was humble about it. I'm paraphrasing this very long message. But basically, his best dog is an obsessive barker in the kennels. And he said it drives him insane. insane. And he thinks it's barking out of boredom because at night he's not super loud. He tends to sleep for the most part through the night, but he's barking and pacing in his kennel like all day. He's like, I can get him out, run him. He'll sleep for like 3 hours, go back in and just start barking again. He's like, I'll put bones in there. He'll chew them until he's bored with the bones and start barking again. Keeper Cole, your best dog is an obsessive barker.
He'd probably never become my best dog if he barked that much. That's another one, man. They're like, my rules are you come when I call you, you don't dog fight, you shut up, and you don't mess in the back of the crate. Those are the hard ones for me, man. Those are deal breakers there. But that doesn't mean it can't be fixed. I would definitely, like, I've had buddies ask me about this one before, and I always say, record the barking. I want to know what kind of barking we're talking about here, because there's different cadences and tones, you know, definitely. and definitely within breeds. For me, it's hilarious. The biggest barkers in my property at night are the sight hounds, because the rabbits come out of the woodworks and start walking around, and they see them out in the dirt pen or something like that. If they're out there in the early evening and I haven't brought them in yet, or there's been like my females come into heat and they're banished to the dirt pen until they're over that.
Yeah.
Something like that. But they're my worst barkers at night because they see all the rabbits, the cottontails and jackrabbits coming around. Whereas the hounds are kind of the worst during the day. They will boredom bark during the day a little bit more, you know. But you can definitely hear the cadence in the barking, you know. And the main thing is to make sure they're not barking at something, you know.
Yeah.
I know one that like at my place, I have mice, you know, that are a constant battle, and I wear them out. And I got a hound that will bark its butt off at a mouse that runs over into the, like, if I have like a time to release feeder. Man, I'm having
like an automatic feeder though. Yeah,
there you go. Jesus, thank you. Whew. All right, so an automatic feeder, it'll go in and out, in and out. And every time the hound saw that mouse, it would just light it up, you know, like, I'm gonna put the treetops off. I got a deer mouse here, you know? So that, like, how you fix that problem is very different from a true boredom barking dog. Because when you see those, they're just laying down. Their ear could be over their eyeballs. They can't even see, and they'll just boo, boo, you know, like they're just, that's different, you know, and how you fix either of them is totally different. But I love a bark collar. I absolutely love a bark collar. Me too. Things are fantastic. I got a trash breaker, you know, that does trash breaking, and you can hold the button down to where it will go into a bark collar setting, you know. But if you really, like, I got a kennel, so I got all kinds of types, and I'm kind of a tech nerd when it comes to this stuff. So if a new one will come out, I'll buy it. If I don't like it, I'll find somebody to sell it to, you know. But I want to try all the new features. My favorite is the ones that have multiple settings. And I don't know if you want to get into a whole bar collar thing, you know, but like, this is the trick behind it. It's the routine. It's a lifestyle change where the first setting, it'll zap them on a very low setting. And there's a lot of people that aren't aware of this. And then they bark again, it goes up. And they bark again and it'll go up, you know, and then they stop barking. And as soon as they start barking for like 10 seconds, it goes all the way back to 0 again, you know, and then they bark, it goes to 1, and they bark, it goes to 2, and they stop for 10 seconds, it goes back to 0 again. Okay. Well, then the next setting is like an intermediate setting where it'll bark one time and they'll get zapped, and they bark, and then it goes to level 2. They bark again, it goes to level 3. And then if they stop barking at 3, for like 30 seconds or more like that, it's fine. If they bark within a minute, it hits them with 3 again.
Yep. That's that progressive learning stage. I think is what that's called. Yep.
Yeah. It hits them where they left off, you know? And then once you have a trained dog, you know, that knows, okay, well, I know I got 10 barks before this really starts to hurt, you know, enough, you know, because you get all kinds of dogs. You get some dogs that a little zap freaks them out. You got some that are like, number 7 ain't nothing, you know?
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
So you can set them at a higher rate so that, metaphorically speaking, the first time they bark, they get a 10, you know? And on that setting, you can even, like, if you have a hard dog, you may do that. You may have to set it to 9. First bark is 9. And every time you bark, you get 9, you know? And then on the opposite, the inverse, if you have a softer dog, that progressive, that level 1 progressive setting may even be too much. You may want to start them at 1. And I've had that with a very sensitive dog that came here for that problem. The dog would not shut up, so he came here. The guy said he was super sensitive. If the bark collar even zaps him a little bit, he starts screaming. And then as soon as he barks, the dog's so traumatic in his mind that he can't do anything. So I took the same thing and put it all the way down on a level 1 setting, whereas you could barely feel it. If you were to like walk across the yard and that thing like jog across the yard and that thing zapped you on level 1, I doubt you'd even notice it,
Yeah.
So we set it on 1 and left it there. So like, it was just the slightest little bit for like a week, and then moved it up to level 2, and went from there. So there's a lot of ways to fix it. But the main thing with fixing any kind of noisy kennel stuff, I have over 20 dogs in my kennel and it's dead quiet. The neighbor has like 2, and their house is very, very loud, and mine's dead quiet, but the trick behind it is being consistent. It's not about beating your dogs, people. I will tell a dog when he's wrong. Do not get me wrong. I will let them know they messed up when they're wrong, but you don't teach with that. It's not about whooping them. It's about letting them know they did wrong consistently.
And the bark collar makes you ultra consistent because it does the work for you passively. It's always on.
Yep. That's right.
I have one on.
Say, well, I have a remote collar. I'll just hit the button whenever I hear it. Your timing's wrong, bud.
Every time. Yep. The bark collar too is a great behavior modifier because I had a dog that was an obsessive barker. She'd literally just be barking at a tree. I mean, like she's just like barking at the ground. I mean, she was just, and I have a 5-acre pen that's natural desert full of rodents and lizards and all kinds of stuff for them to run around. There's lots to do in my yard. And she's just a crazy pointer cross. And so you put that bark collar on her and it would make her much calmer. Like she would be less manic. It wouldn't diminish her hunt drive. It just didn't make her as manic. And most importantly, and everyone, this is what I like the most about it. If she saw another dog through the fence, like walking on the road, which is like an acre away from my pen, she'd go insane, like red line, go insane, like barking. And if some dog got too close to her, she'd like attack the dog next to her. You put that bark collar on her, calm. She would just walk up and down the fence, not growling or anything, just walking up and down the fence, not barking, obviously, and staying calm. So she was much safer for the rest of my pack. So I'm a huge believer in bark collars. And I use that progressive learning setting where it like goes up until they stop barking, and then it remembers that setting and keeps it there for a week. And if they continue, it'll reset. If they don't bark at all, it resets it back to 0, and then it'll do it again if they start barking again. But it saves it for a week at that setting. So, and Penny was a tough dog. So that thing, it had a 9 was the strongest it could go, and it stopped on an 8. You know what I mean? Before she was like, okay, I'll stop barking. So
that's really unique. The week long, I really like that because the one I have, when it stops, if they don't bark, if they bark again within like 2 minutes, it'll hit them with that remembered setting. But if they go like 5 minutes without barking, it goes back to 0 again.
Yeah,
so like my progressive learning wasn't that extended, whatever you want to call it, for a week. I like that a lot. That's
it's a great bark collar, and man, I love that brand. I've used it, and without that bark collar, Penny would have been a cull. Let's just say that a long time ago. The bark collar made her an okay dog to live with.
Okay.
So
here's a few pro tips with the e-collars too. Just, one, they go off of vibration. Your good ones these days go off of noise and vibration. So you have to satisfy both noises.
Right.
You can run out there and clap your hands as loud as you can, set off firecrackers, and it's not going to go off. Another way to test it is you can take a lot of these collars, put the prongs on like a wood grain table or like your stucco wall, and like slide the prongs down, and that'll vibrate the sensor in there, and in theory, as long as you don't do it loud enough to where there's an audio response, it shouldn't go off then too, because it's only vibration at that point. So the good ones have to hear a bark and feel a bark to work, That being said, if you put this unit, a lot of folks, depending on how they do their collars, and that's another topic I'd like to get into at some point. I hate the way people put collars on. I can't stand it. But if you have a collar, a name collar right underneath an e-collar, and when the dog runs, they start clapping together, the dog can start getting zapped, So your e-collars, your bark collars, people, should be right up underneath their chin, underneath there to the left or right of the esophagus, like in that there's a little divot in there, and you never want to leave it too long because the prongs can make sores. You know, the way we like to do it is rotate it. Every time you touch the dog, we just rotate it to the other side of the esophagus. And that is, we don't have problems doing that, you know. But that said, loosen your name collar if you have to, or tighten up your e-collar, but like, don't let them touch each other, or take it off. Take the other collar off if you have to. But like, you don't want to send mixed signals. That's really important when you're breaking behaviors like this. If they start to understand, hey, maybe it's when I bark. Maybe that's when, oh, no, I just got barked for doing nothing. Okay. Well, maybe it's whenever I go over near my water bucket and knock my collar on the water bucket. Oh, maybe it's when I was, you know, itching myself on the kennel wall and the e-collar was up, you know, like, so you try and limit, you know, what happens.
Is important. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, watch your other collar. And this is especially important for those of us that use tethers, because a tether, whether it be a chain or a rope or whatever, can knock on that, especially the clip can knock on those collars. So just keep that in mind. And as well, if it's not tight enough, it's not going to work. It may be giving the command to zap and stimulate the dog, but if the collar's not tight enough, it may not actually be delivering that shock.
That's,
you know, and
the important thing. That's so true. That a lot of people put them too loose and they don't get it. Yep.
So much. Like, and everybody's like, well, it's so tight. They can't breathe. That is the thickest, most durable muscle in the dog's body, is their neck. Like, I would never suggest this, but every one of our dogs out there, you could lift the dog up by his head, you know, and it would be very uncomfortable, but they're going to be okay. It's not like you're picking them up by their pinky toe, you know, like
tail.
Yeah. You know, like, whereas us, we're, you know, like, it's different, you know, you never want to pick us up by our head, you know, but to kind of draw a parallel, that'd be the same as somebody reaching out, grabbing you by your belt and lifting you up by your belt, and you're hanging there, like, you know, hunched over, you know, like, that's going to be uncomfortable, but you can breathe.
Yeah.
You know, you can do all these things, you know. So when the dog's collar's around their neck, if you could force, my rule is if I could force like 4 fingers up underneath there, if I can get them underneath it, the dog's fine. The dog is absolutely fine, you know. And so it needs to be tight. It needs to be, you know, and it needs to be, if it's tight and in the middle of the neck or at the base of the neck, the collar will slide up and then become loose enough to where it doesn't work anymore. So start off by having the collar up under, and you guys can't see this, but I'm slapping myself up under the chin right now. Have the collar up underneath the chin to the left or right of the esophagus, and then it has nowhere to go. It can't go higher and get looser. And the last thing is your prong length. You know, if you got thick hair, like all my hounds are on the long prongs, you know, like I even have like old Rebar. Something about him, I don't know if he has blubber in his neck or what. He's got short hair. But if I use the short prongs on him, he will not get track and train stimulations. He will not. You could fall asleep on 18 and he's just going to walk around happy because it doesn't get through his skin. But with the long prongs, it presses hard enough and he gets a good stimulation through there. So that, and if you still have dogs like your really thick breeds, kind of like a German Shepherd or maybe one of the Lycas that you were talking about, a trick with those is you can't shave a patch. And if you don't want to shave a patch, you can use, and I'm failing here for a word, but you can use, like KY jelly to make a better connection.
Dielectric gel.
That's, everybody should have a Seth. You know, just walk around with you. They're a walking Rolodex. It's very nice. Pick up yours at the Houndsman XP store. You know,
it's only if you want to talk about rabbits or dielectric gel, apparently.
There you go. So that it just makes a better connection, you know, and keep in mind that if you have a habit of having a thick, you know, fatty necked breed, you know, like my hounds have these really thick blubbery necks, you know, or a dog with really thick hair or a thick undercoat or something like that. On the inverse would be our sight hounds or like a bulldog, a pit bull, you know, they have really thin hair, you know, those make the best connections. But if you have these other ones and then you get used to like level 4 being where you get that dog's attention and you put that gel on there, step it down 2 steps.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to, you're going to be speaking another language with that gel on there. So Vaseline works, KY jelly. You know, water will work too, but it dries out really fast.
I wondered why you had 5 gallons of KY in your house.
Yeah, every room, a 5-gallon bucket, every room, just in case.
It's because you're being bad and you have to get shocked. I know.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So anyway, I'll hush about all that. But like that's what I would do. It's a keep for me. Even though the barking dogs are nuts, I've never not been able to fix one. Never not been able to fix one from barking. So
keep.
It's all about consistency and setting a routine and then do it. Don't say quiet. And then, go out there and, convince them to quiet and then quiet and convince them to quiet. And then one day go quiet and then don't go out there. That's the worst thing in the world. If you know you aren't going to go out there, shut up. Don't tell them nothing. You just devalue commands and then devalue your corrections. If you don't plan on enforcing the command, don't give it. And that's where most people mess up with barking dogs. So,
or any command. So I say keep as well, and I'm a huge lover of the bark collar, baby. Whoo, that's the best. So yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. Hey, we're already moving into this episode, brother. So I want to move into the last part, if you're cool with that.
Definitely.
I want to, everyone, patrons, you guys know about my trip to Horses, Hounds, and Mules. I already did a little kind of behind the scenes about that with you, Chad, and it was a great time. The camaraderie was awesome. The people were super cool, and I was blown away at how valuable a good dry ground lion dog is. This is all public, you guys. You can go check it out, the Horses, Hound, and Mules Facebook page. But a hound sold for $20,000, Chad, and my jaw was on the floor. And there's mules that were going for really high dollar amounts. So congratulations to the people that were there and made great sales with their dogs. I met all these cool folks, but I mean, you know me, dude, when I get into those events, I'm just running around like a crazy person. And I was sticking my mic into everyone's faces. And you guys know, I made one of the episodes public from the Patreon page, but there's more there too, is I met all these crazy chuck wagon people. And I couldn't stop thinking about those chuck wagon dudes for like 2 weeks, man. They were just awesome and hilarious and funny and crazy and cool. I really want to go to the chuck wagon races in Arkansas. That sounds like a great time. I'm a party animal. I'm sure you've already figured that out too. Oh, yeah. So it's a 2-week Sturgis of the South with mules and wagons and crazy people running around everywhere, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But everyone,
what's not to love there?
I agree. So yeah, go check out the Patreon page, you guys, for all that bonus content. And there's going to be some bonus content. I got a lot of interviews and they're not all going to fit on this main episode, you guys. So go check out the Patreon page for the more. I got even more in person, my favorite kind, face to face. I stick a mic right in your face. Boom. Tell me 3 things you like in a good whatever. Boom. Right in your face. And we got the conversation started. And I'm going to make a quick saying on the show. So I was talking to a lot of cool people there. And what I loved is that these are my people. And I mean that as not as a sight hound hunter. I mean that as like when I travel around the world, I meld into the culture of the people I'm with. And I don't make any judgments. I'm just a fly on the wall or a participant, and I just absorb it. But it was easy to go to northern New Mexico because all these dry ground guys from all over the Southwest, these are my people, so it was very easy to be a part of that community. And so shout out to everyone that was there. It was really cool. There was a guy named Ross Blackwelder there, and he's BB Ranch Hounds. That's his outfit's name. And I just remember, man, he's super humble. He didn't want to, a lot of people are just like, oh, I got nothing to say. I don't got nothing to say. And you stick the mic in their face and they just come alive, I just remember, man, we were sitting there. It was after the horse, hound, and mule, or it was after the hound auction, and all these people kind of left, but there was a core group of guys that stayed behind, and the party kind of started going a little bit. And I approached Mr. Blackwelder and I was like, hey, tell me 3 good things you like in a dry ground lion dog. And he was like, no, I'm going to tell you 6. And after I finally cornered him, I literally cornered him. I ran him into a chair. And he was super cool. But what I loved, man, and I said this in the interview, is when he started talking, people just started aggregating. And everybody got quiet and everyone gathered around. So I just thought that was kind of cool. I was like, all right, I am in the presence of a really respected guy right now. And I really enjoyed talking to him. And I shamelessly was like, hey, you should take me hunting. They hunt right by my house all the time. But I was really struck by that. You know, I thought it was really cool that like when this guy was talking, everyone was listening. And so I was like,
somebody like bumps the jukebox.
I was like, I need to listen too, clearly. Yeah. So there was a lot of crazy fun characters, and we will be there next year. Again, Houndsman XP will absolutely be there again next year, you guys. It was a great time. I highly recommend to anyone listening to this to go there, because you're going to see a side of hound hunting that is quite mythical. It is. Like, there's just something about dry ground lion hunting that just inspires that romantic image of the Old West. I am just going to say it flat out, you know?
I'm not arguing with you. It's pretty cool.
Mules, the desert, a pack of hounds, and you're just alone out there, you know? And you're hunting this incredibly elusive animal over these like huge, wide open, majestic landscapes. Like, it is badass, dude. It's very romantic. And I don't mean that in like the stupid smut book way. I mean like romantic in the like novelist way. You know what I mean? How can you not feel like that? So anyway, I thought that was really cool to kind of see all these kind of like lords of the dry ground, you know, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that weren't there that are badass lion hunters. I'm just saying what I saw there impressed me, and there was a lot of knowledge there, and it was very cool. So the Whitaker brothers are there. I met them in person. They're super cool. Both of them, they were giving me a hard time running around on mules, dragging tarps around behind mules, and to show how like steady their mules were, which was cool. I'd never seen that. But anyway, yeah. So you guys, I say let's just run right into these interviews, you guys, and enjoy them. You're going to get a little taste of me running around with a mic again, and you're going to hear straight from the horse's mouth, straight from the hound's mouth, straight from the mule's mouth, what they got to say about things they enjoy in a dry ground lion hound. Tell me your name and 3 things you look for in a good lion hound.
My name is David Riley. 3 things I look for in a good lion hound is a good handle, a good cold nose, and stay with the track.
What is a cold nose in your definition?
Cold nose, you can turn out on a 2 or 3 day old lion track, which they may or may not catch it. Just depends on if he's got a kill in the area or not. So if he's just traveling through, you may not catch up to him, but if he's sitting on a kill, you may jump him off that kill.
How long does a lion stay in the area if it has a kill? How close to the kill do you think it stays typically?
It'll stay within a few hundred yards. It'll make its rounds, but he's close. Yeah, he's not going anywhere until he's finished with that kill.
How long does it take him to eat a deer?
A day or two. They'll stay on it a couple days.
Gotcha.
But unless there's a female in the area too. If there's a female in the area, he might be chousing her as well. So it just depends on you know, what the situation is or what the circumstances are.
Do you think a good handle comes from genetics, training, or both?
Could be a little bit of both. Good genetics is a big, major part of it. What the bloodline is, where the dog comes from, who he comes from. Some dogs have a handle on them, some dogs don't. You can tone them, train them, shot, whatever you got to do. Some dogs just don't.
Do you like spooks, or do you need it? I mean, you sounds like you like a dog that's real good to handle.
I have a dog. I want a dog that's going to handle. When I hit the tone button, they already know. Even if I don't have to hit that tone button, just holler their name and they'll stop in their tracks.
And they're on the way.
And they're on their way back. But I've had dogs that, doesn't matter what you do, they're V-lining.
How long you been running?
I've been running hounds all my life.
So how long is that?
We have to really go there.
You look young and spry.
Well, I'm 50 years old.
There you go.
Pretty much out of the womb.
What kind of dogs you running?
Walkers, blue ticks, red ticks, walker crosses, blue tick crosses. I ain't too much for black and tans.
Okay.
I will have a plot, but I like the crosses. Yeah. I like blue tick walker crosses.
In my limited experience traveling around the West and hanging out with scent hound guys, it seems that here in the West, it's a lot of just this dog catches, let's cross him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And a Western special.
Right.
You know, and which that appeals to me.
And
I like that.
I think that's where a lot of people get their good bloodlines is they cross genetic. They'll cross genetic and they'll get their own bloodlines.
Yeah.
And genetics is a big deal.
Where do you see yourself going in the next 10 years? What are you looking for in a dog? How do you want to improve your pack?
I want to improve my pack, getting me some good finished or started dogs, get me some pups to run behind them. So these, like the puppy trainers are also, that's critical. Another thing. Puppy trainers are critical.
Yep.
You can't just have a dog that's just gonna, you can't have a dog that's just gonna blow out and leave everything behind.
Totally agree.
I mean, on a hot bear, that's gonna happen. On a lion track, dirt ground lion track, you're probably gonna want a dog that's gonna work the track, move the track, have some voice on it too. I said a real quiet dog, to me, I don't think those puppies they're learning anything. I want a dog that's going to have some nose on, or have some voice on the track. And so, I mean, like I said, a dog's got a good handle, trash broke, concentrated on that track, run through a herd of elk, and still on the track.
I'm going to ask a tough question now.
Yes, sir.
Bears or lions?
Both.
That's a good answer.
Yes, sir. Like running both.
What's your favorite thing about lion hunting?
The thrill, the sound of the hounds, the thrill of the hunt. It's amazing.
Yeah, what about bears?
Same deal.
It
can get a little bit more, bears. I'd rather have to tangle with a lion than I would a bear.
I agree. I agree.
Bears, lions can be unpredictable, but bears, you don't know what's going to if they come out of that tree, I mean, they can come, and a lion can do the same thing.
Not like a bear.
But not like a bear.
Lions are weenies.
Yeah.
They run away.
Yeah, they're gonna get gone, but bear gets mad, he's gonna try to hurt somebody.
I agree. Yeah. Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate the hell out of it.
Appreciate it.
It's really I can't
Tell me your name and 3 things you like in a good bobcat dog.
My name, Sean Riley. 3 things I like in dogs. I like a good running dog. I like a good dog with good heart, and no quit. I mean, that's really the main thing. Good loyal dog.
When you define running dog, I think my definition of running dog and yours are a little different. Define a running dog for you.
So mine, I like running walkers. Those are my go-tos. A lot of people don't like them. I love them.
Why?
Because they'll go and they can keep up and they stay right behind them. And they'll run a track.
What's a good speed for them to run a track?
I mean, average, I'd say 15, 20. Yeah.
Just define your country.
Yeah.
Where are you hunting?
Down the same place as Ross.
Which is?
Yeah, down to West Texas.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Brush,
Rio Grande, heavy brush, dog pair.
And they're moving 15 through that.
They move fast. The running walkers,
Damn.
they move. Yes, sir.
You got pigs down there?
Well, that's what so I just switched over. So I was a pig guy, hog guy. That's all I've ever ran. And my brother and uncles and everybody else have always run big game hounds. And so I thought, every high school kid in the country's got a hog dog. And so let's start trying something a little more challenging. And this is where I'm at, and kind of what brought me here.
This guy's your brother?
That's my brother.
How far apart are you guys?
In weight or
in
age?
In age.
Yeah. Well, he's 50, and I'll just put it like this. I walked in the hotel the other day where he works, and they said, "Are you David's son?"
Well, they say with age comes wisdom, and he's living in New Mexico, so I think he's doing the right thing.
I will say this, though. He's training me up. He's doing a great job. He takes me out every time. I don't know this country as well, so we come out here, and he's been helping me out a lot, and right there by my side everywhere we go. So.
Do you see yourself being a houndsman long term?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
And you have
Definitely.
any goals? Where do you see your future in 5 years with hounds? What's your goal?
Well, right now.
Spent some good money today. Got some good dogs.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So. Right where I'm at, I like where I'm at right now. I've got a good set of hounds with thanks to him and thanks to guys. And this is one of the things is guys like Ross and him that are willing to help out young guys. And it's a tough world to break into. Yeah. So as long as you've got some good guys to help you out.
It's all about mentors.
It's all about mentors and getting people to help out. And thankfully I have a good circle.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Tell me your name and 3 good things you look for in a dry ground lion hound. We got a legend here. We want to hear.
I'm not a legend.
What's your name?
My name is Ross Blackwelder.
3 good things you look for in a dry ground line dog.
I'm going to give you 6 good things.
I want to hear 6 things. Starting with the most important.
I'm going to start with the most important. And then I'm going to go in order. Number 1, intelligence.
Okay.
Number 2, they got to strike. Number 3, they got to trail. They got to be able to keep up with a jump cat. Then they got to locate it. And then they got to stay treed until I get there.
What do you think, when the hounds have a cat jumped, how long does that usually take to get from the jump to the tree, do you think, on average?
On average, a quarter mile.
Oh, okay, so it's pretty fast. How fast are they moving?
That's a good question.
Running?
25 miles an hour.
Booking it.
30, maybe.
When you think...
Depends on the terrain, too.
You go home and you hang your hat on just a badass day. What is a crazy long dry ground race when you're just like, honey, today I was out there for this amount of time, it was insane?
It happens not very often, but you start on a 2-day-old track, trail it for 10 miles, turn it into a night-old track off of a kill and catch it.
When you think
have to get back to the truck in the dark.
I ask a lot of scent hound folks across the United States about what is a cold nose, and in Canada too. It all varies, it's all opinion. To you, what is a cold trail?
A cold trail.
Like,
I think if you're moving 100 yards in an hour, that's a pretty cold trail.
Okay, how old do you think that is?
It could be 4 hours old, or it could be 5 days old. Depends on the conditions and the terrain.
I see. Do you think a dog can pick up a 5-day-old trail, or is that just extreme if you have the right?
I've seen a dog open on a 5-day-old track.
How did you confirm that?
Because I found the track 5 days before that walking and took them back in there.
Damn.
And nothing had been through there since. And I had one dog wiggle on it and one dog open on it. And I had a hunter with me, and he said that was the coolest thing that he'd ever seen. He was
the coolest thing I've ever seen.
He was a guy from Georgia that run deer, and so he knew about hound dogs and scent dogs. And so he said, I don't care if we catch a lion. He said, that's the coolest thing that I've ever seen.
Oh my God. That is so crazy. So here's my next question. If you... I don't know how to word this because there's a lot. So people have told me when I'm in Canada, they say an hour and a half is cold, right? So is it true? Do you think that if a lion ran across the road and you drive by 5 minutes later, the dogs can't smell it, but you come back 30 minutes and they can? Have you ever seen that before?
I've had a lion run across the road in front of me and pulled over and kicked the dogs out on it, and they ran it like a hot bear track.
Okay.
And so I hear that a lot, but I've never tried to wait on it. A friend of mine, he had a lion run across the road in front of him, and he had heard that you needed to wait and give it some time for the scent to settle. And his dad said, I'm not waiting on the scent to settle and turn it. He said, I'm turning my dogs out. You can leave yours in there if you want to. And he turned them out right on it, and they caught that one too. So those are the only 2 instances that I know of, and they kind of discredit that the scent needs to settle. But I think it all depends on the conditions, the humidity level, and whether pressure's lifting or
Where
pressing.
Are you hunting generally?
I hunt mainly along the Pecos River in Texas, and then do a lot in southeast Arizona, southwest New Mexico. I hunt desert primarily. I try to stay away from the snow.
I'm a desert person too. we had a gentleman on the show many years ago that said a pack of poodles can tree a snow lion. Is that true?
I've never tried to hunt with a pack of poodles. But it's pretty easy in the snow.
Do you bear hunt too?
I do some.
Prefer bears or lions?
I tell people you can cram a lot of adventure into a short amount of time on a bear hunt, but the challenge gets me on the lion hunt.
What makes a lion hunt more challenging?
Oh gosh, you try to go get a dog from anywhere and raise it and teach it to trail a dirt track, and it's pretty challenging. I mean, terrain, scent, and conditions, the dog. I mean, there's just so many variables that make it challenging.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go catch 3 or 4 bear a day for 2 weeks straight. And, I may go a month sometimes and not catch a lion, so it's definitely more challenging.
I've been traveling around quite a bit for Houndsman XP. I've had this total honor, and I go to these groups of people. This is the first time I've ever broken out an interview and the entire crowd goes silent and listens to what you have to say. So my question to you is, if you were to start dry ground lion hunting, what would be some advice you'd give to a new person?
Oh my goodness. Be patient, number one. It takes time, especially if you don't have anything to start with. I mean, if you got some money, you can go buy some really nice dogs that people have, but be patient. Give your dogs time to hunt.
Yeah, I agree with that. What do you think takes a good dry ground dog to become finished? And I say that with air quotes to everybody that's listening.
I'm a lot pickier than most people, so my finished dog is going to be broke completely off of all trash and can do those 6 traits that I mentioned before.
And how long?
I would say most of them don't reach that point until they're 3 or 4. I've got some dogs that do it sooner, but it's because I can get them on 20 plus lines before they're a year old. So it makes a difference on the amount of game that you put them on and the amount of time that you spend with them in the fours.
I think that's something I'm really envious of the scent hound game, is that, and by 4 years old, my dog's getting ready to be in his downhill. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's at the peak of his life, and he's going to be rolling down. But you guys are, what can you routinely hunt a lion dog till? What age do you think?
I just had a dog die, and he caught his last line at 17.
17.
So now, not all dogs, not all breeds can do that. A good friend of mine, Rocky McBride, had a dog that caught his last line at 18. And so, I've had, and then other people tell me their dogs are turning it in at 11, 12, something like that. So depends on the breed, depends on where you hunt, depends on how much you hunt them, how you care for them, accidents,
You ride with your dogs, or do you walk, or do you mostly?
In Texas, I do mostly foot back, just because we have a good network of roads, and some of the rim country is just completely not navigable by horse or mule.
Gotcha.
When I'm in New Mexico and Arizona, that's my go-to. I really enjoy being muleback out in the woods.
I like to see dogs doing it, and when you're there, it's way more fun.
Oh yeah. And then when I'm hunting in Texas footback, I'm walking right there with them. So unless they just finally get something going really good, take off where I can't keep up with them, then I'll go back to the truck, try to get around there to where they're going.
Do you prefer horses or mules?
I prefer mules.
Why?
I've ridden both. I grew up ranching in West Texas, and I had my first horse when I was 3, and they're great saddle animals for gathering livestock, roping, doing all kinds of sporting events. But the mules, they're going to take care of themselves, which in turn means they're going to take care of you in some rough country. And so
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah. They're more durable. They eat a third less. I mean, there's lots of advantages to mules. You can ride a mule until they're 30 plus years old, where a horse, you're looking at early 20s most of the time. So.
Okay, here's the hardest question it seems to be at this event so far. Why is it called a mule skinner?
That's a good question. I call people mule skinners that ride mules all the time, but I don't know the answer to that.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
And the mystery continues.
Appreciate
it, brother. Thank you so much.
I can't believe you cornered me.
Yes.
Tell me your name and 3 things you look for in a good coon dog.
Troy Meagle. I'd say a good heart, a lot of try, and a good mouth. They got to tell me what they're doing.
Describe a good mouth, because that's so subjective in the hound world.
Yeah.
What kind of sound do you like in a hound? Because I like a big ball in hound. I do. I
like that. The female I run, she does not have that. She's got a little squeak bark, and but it changes. The hotter the track, the squeakier she gets, and I can tell with her.
Yeah.
I like the change in it. I like for her to tell me what's going on.
When I was in Canada, we were hunting some dogs that kind of sound like if a manatee was being kicked to death. But they had one blue tick in there that just had this beautiful roar. And when he saw the bear, just roar, and I was like, that's a hound. Not a manatee. That's a hound. So I appreciate a hound with good mouth.
My male dog sounds like a foghorn on a tugboat.
How's he bred? What kind of dog are you running?
Black and tans.
Black and tans.
Yeah, come out of a Blackburn stock out of Blanco, Texas.
I don't hear that very often. What do you love about black and tans?
It's what my dad started with. It's been what I ran since I was born.
Black and tan was actually my stripper name when I was in college.
Nice.
Nice. So I got a lot to say,
Definitely not mine.
I'm just going to call him B&T.
So I've asked all these dry ground lion hunters here, what's a long race for you? If you were just like, honey, today I chased this coon and that son of a bitch went X miles, what is that? Or distance?
Man, quarter mile maybe.
That's a pretty long run for an animal that size.
You get down south of us, a good quarter-mile race is pretty good.
Nice.
At home, 300-400 yards, really.
How many? What do you think your coon density is in the area you're hunting? How many coons per mile do you think there are? Because I mean, I've heard of people treeing coons in 10 acres.
Yeah, at home, yeah. Man, I don't know about density, but we can tree probably 6, 8, 10 a night.
10 a night?
Yeah.
Wow.
Easily. Yeah.
Dang.
It's pretty. Where we're at, we're on the Gulf Coast.
And I'm sure there's Indiana boys listening, and there's boys up in the Midwest that are saying 10 a night. But to me, that's insane.
Yeah, but honestly, I think I'm the only coon hunter in our county, so they don't have a lot of pressure.
Really?
And there in South Texas, we have deer feeders. I mean, protein feeders.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's just a coon heaven.
Protein feeders. Imagine you come up on a coon, he's just like squeak. Just whoops the shit out of your dogs.
Yeah, you can drive up to a protein feeder and there'd be 5-6 coons on one feeder.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy.
Sounds like we just got a rabbit up. Yeah, you're a fan of Houndsman XP?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Who's the best host on Houndsman XP?
Man, don't get me started. Somebody's gonna get their feelings hurt there.
You can say it. It's Chad. We all know.
No, I like them all. You
don't have to answer that. I'm just giving you a hard time. You got the best hunting rig, one of the best hunting rigs I've ever seen out here.
Thank you.
It's a sticker palooza. We added to it.
Yeah.
And I've signed some hats. I've signed some papers. I've signed some things. I've never got to sign a man's truck.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I'm unbelievably honored, and there was no way in hell I was going to let you out of here without getting your voice.
My daughter is going to be thoroughly impressed.
Well, I can sign something for her too, if she likes rabbits.
She wants to come run side hounds.
Let's do it. You know, you're one of the very, very few people I've interviewed anywhere in the United States or in Canada that even knew what a Saluki was, and that you've seen rabbits get run. Yeah. So I was like, cool. There's more harebrains here.
Oh, my grandfather did it forever. My grandfather ran greyhounds as long as his father before him ran greyhounds. So yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. One grandfather ran sidehounds, one ran beagles, and my dad ran coonhounds. So
hound hunting's in your family. I'm a newbie at it. Everyone around here's got a long, deep history, and I feel like I'm the one that kind of just stumbled into it, and then I found a crazy guy, and we've been hunting ever since.
One thing about in the hound world, you're always a newbie. You're always going to learn something new.
True.
Don't matter who you talk to, somebody's going to have that one good idea.
A person I really respect named Paul Domsky has been hunting with Salukis for about 25 years, and he says, I just feel like I've gotten to the point now where I've learned so much I realize I don't know anything. Yeah. I still have so much to go.
And it pays to shake hands.
Oh, yeah.
Introduce yourself. Talk to people. And you learn
Be
so
humble.
much. Yeah, I mean, I just traveled 1,036 miles to get here, and I learned a world of things about the hound world right here.
It's a magical place.
Yeah, this place it's pretty awesome. If you want to be in the Western Hound, this is the place you need to be. I mean,
I'm happy to be here.
These are the people you need to talk to. Everybody here has got something to teach you, and you can learn from everybody here.
Except me. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, buddy. It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
We got a special guest for the Houndsman XP podcast. Tell me your name and 3 things you like in a good side hound.
I can't talk.
How many times do you hound doggers catch yourself thinking about an awesome hunt you had, or retelling this great story with family and friends around the dinner table, and all you have to remember that moment is some terrible cell phone picture, or worse, no picture at all? Well, Houndsman XP is partnered with Rough Cut Company to help solve your problem and make beautiful pieces of art to remember for all time your experiences in the field. Rough Cut Company is an American-owned and American-made business in Wisconsin that specializes in custom, unique photo engravings on hardwood that are framed to any picture you want. They also do customizable antler dog chews and even beautiful, unique antler rings from their own red deer in Wisconsin. Rough Cut Company can do pretty much anything you ask. Their customer service is second to none. Give them a look at roughcutcompany.com, and when you check out, make sure you check out with HXP 10% off to get a discount on your final purchase. Check them out, you guys, and support people that support Houndsmen and help keep us in the field and remembering those times forever. Yeah, guys. So thanks again. I mean, that energy is, I get electrified.
Man, I really want to go next year.
Yeah.
I really got to make it next year. I got to make it.
A lot of people were asking where you and Chris were. A lot of
Is that
people.
right?
Yeah, I've never been to a crowd that was more familiar with Houndsman XP, which really made me happy. Like, that was super cool. You know, a lot of people were like, I was wearing my HXP shirt. I was actually wearing this one right here, the This Is Fair Chase shirt. I was wearing this is how smart I am. I was wearing a black t-shirt in 100-degree weather. So
very nice.
Yeah,
very
that
nice.
was not one of my smartest moves. But anyway, yeah. So everyone was like, "Where's Chris? Where's Chris? Where's Chad? Where's Chad?" And I was like, Chad can make it, and Chris got his flights canceled. So he was very adamant that I tell everyone that he did not bail because he did not want to come. He was truly saddened. I could hear it in his crusty old heart that he was very sad not to be there. But I did sign a guy's truck, which made me feel amazing. I signed a Jackrabbit Superior Life Form on Troy Meagle's truck. So shout out to Troy. That was the coolest autograph I've ever given, brother. I appreciate that a lot. Got to
cool.
Spread hair gospel wherever I go. All right. Superior Life Form status. Anywhere we got to go, we got to do that. At least I do.
I dig it. I dig it.
But yeah, next year, if you don't come, I'm going to find you, and I'm going to, and you'll probably kick my ass. I don't know. I'm probably just going to kick you and run away. You know what I mean? But,
I will inconvenience you.
Yeah. I'll steal Dandy. But anyway,
yeah, unacceptable.
Well,
no, I really wanted to. It was just one of them work things, man. It was one of them big bad work things. But knowing there's nothing I could have done about this last time. But now knowing it, I'll just make damn certain not to save it out there. I got it saved in my calendar already. Is it going to be about the same time? Or
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, that helps a lot.
July, everyone. It's a little hot, but it's the only time for an off season, so we got to do it then. It was indoors. It got big tent, so air conditioning exists. It's not that bad. So
yeah, don't do it October, November, or anything like that.
I know. Well, no one will show up.
Yeah, I'll be playing then.
Exactly. Well, do you got any closing thoughts, Mr. Reynolds?
No, I think that's a good one.
I do too, brother. Well, thanks for joining us, you guys. I almost did the old school outro, brother. That is how dumb and tired I am. Let's hunt them hard and treat them like heroes.
That's right.
At Discount Tire,